All right, I'm gonna start recording. Yeah, so open the AutoCAD 3D template, then go to the little gear down here and choose 3D Basics to change the menu layout. Then we'll go over some of the basic functions real quick. Build a few things. Excuse me, sorry. All right. So I click this corner up here between the front and right face. So if you click here, it'll change the adjustment of your angle. So if you want to see the front face, uh, right side, right, back, etc., depending how you orient your objects. That's how it is. I'm going to leave it in this perspective, Y, X, and Z. This is our 3D space. Before we get started, make sure you change the 3D basics like we just said. Right click, go to grid settings, or you can type grid settings or whatever. There's a couple different ways to do it. We've talked about that already. Turn on snap. Turn off the adaptive grid here before we start. And just click OK when you're ready. Okay. So I'm just gonna make some cylinders real quick so you can see how these functions work. Currently the cursor's on the ground, so I'm gonna be, it's kind of like you remember when you're doing the isometric drawing in the last homework, you had to change to different views, right? A left view, a right view, top view. But the cursor in 3D will adjust depending on what you're looking at. So like if I look at this cursor, it'll change to that wall. If I look at the ground, it'll change to the ground. You see how it's oriented with the axis? If I'm on this face, then the coordinate will adjust with you, right? Anyway, so I want you to make a cylinder. So choose the functions here and choose cylinder. It doesn't matter the radius, just make whatever, 2.5 is fine. Make it about 8-ish. Let's draw a little cylinder here. Then I want you to draw a cylinder inside of it. Let's make sure you have the same snaps that I do. Let me cancel that. Object snaps. So I have these guys on right now. I may adjust them as we move along the lesson, but these first three are pretty good. We might not need them all for the cylinder, but the 2D are still on just in case. But we'll see if we need them or not. So I'm going to draw a disc in the center of the, here's the center of the circle here. See how I can draw a disc? Okay, make it a little skinnier. All right, there. Let's see here. I'm gonna move the disc a little to the bottom there. So if you can kind of grab the coordinate. So if I grab the blue one, that'll be Z coordinate. So I can drag that object up and down, so it won't shift to like the wrong direction. See what I mean? Just make sure your snaps are on. But if I use the green one, I can shift the disc along that plane, along the y-axis. So basically, you can move them around any axis you want, so you don't mess up the the shape or the positioning. Because it gets kind of hard if you start shifting like in a random 3D direction, but it's not easy. But anyway, draw the disc in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Draw a cylinder, and let me know when you're ready, or if you have any issues so far. You guys okay?
Which function are you using for the disk? It's not the little donut, the torus one, right?
No, it's just I just used another cylinder. I just made it a different
Okay.
height and thickness.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Right?
I'm over here messing with the torus.
Yeah, no, don't use it. All we're doing is cylinders right now. So remember, even though it looks like a disc, it's still technically, mathematically a cylinder, right? It's the same thing. But notice how there's two objects, right? See how I can highlight this guy and that guy? So right now it considers them as two different objects where I can kind of move them around. So I can move the inner piece out of there, right? Or move it back with undo, of course. I can move it in the negative direction underneath. So now it's underneath the plane, XYZ plane. Or sorry, the XY plane. But you can also create a union to make make two objects into one object. So if you choose a union and select the objects you want to combine, press enter. Now when you select it, it is one object. So see now I shift the whole thing together. So that's what union is pretty awesome. Although it's very difficult to separate them. So don't union stuff unless you're sure they're going to stick together, right? So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. There we go. For the next example. So be very careful when you're doing your project. When you do union stuff. Okay. Uh, intersect will basically erase everything except where they intersect. So it should leave like an inner disk. So when you're trying to create weird shapes or a specific shape, you can merge objects together, use the intersect, and delete everything except where they connected. So let's try that. So intersect two objects, enter. So deleted everything except where they were overlapping. You see what I mean? So intersect's pretty cool. Subtract, we'll just subtract one object from the other, but they will remove where they were overlapping as well. So it kind of takes a piece with it. So basically, it removes one object plus where it intersected. That's what subtract does. So choose subtract. First object, enter. Second object, enter. So the final object is what's deleted, but notice how it removed the inner piece, right? See now the subtraction took that intersecting piece with it. So that's what subtract is. Now if I do it the other way, subtract disk first, enter, cylinder, enter, it should leave me with a little donut, right? Is there any questions about how subtract, intersect, or union work? Or what they do? Okay, then I'm just going to get rid of this then. I'm going to move on from this example and try to build this thing. You guys cool with this? It's pretty straightforward, I hope. All right. Okay then. So let's build. I'm gonna try to build this guy. I was messing with it earlier before class started, but I built an extra one just in case something goes wrong. But let's see how it goes. So choose the box command, and it's gonna be in this little corner here. So 1 1 all the way until 5 4. I want you to create a box or a square. There. Let me try that again. Double check. 1 1 5-4. You can also use the points command, but I'm just trying to keep it simple here. So once you create the base, I want you to do a height of 1.5 for this box here. Just make sure that you see how. Let me try that again so you can see what's going on. So 5-4 all the way to 1-1. Notice how it can go up or downward. So make sure it's on the way up before you type in the height, because if it's on the way down, it's gonna go downward. You see what I mean? So now it's upward because that's how it was starting to adjust. All right. Okay. Now let's try the wedge command. Let me wait a bit. Guys, having any issues making this box? Also, I guess I forgot to mention something before you make that box. We should make sure that we all have the same grid. I don't know what grid you guys have. Let me see here. 1 second. Yeah, try grid, enter, and type 1. That way we all have the same units here. So the box should be 4 by 3 by 1.5. If you want to use the same location, this corner is 1-1, this corner is 5-4. However you want to think about it. Use the dimensions or the points, whatever. Okay, so now let's try out the wedge. So notice when you choose a function, as I said before, right, the axes will change, your coordinate system will change depending on what I'm doing. So this is my facing. If I were to draw it right now, I'd be drawing on this face, or on the ground, or on the top. So when you click, make sure you know how exactly your coordinate system is set up. You'll see the shape come out weird if you click in the wrong spot, or if you click after you highlight a face, it'll start coming out from there instead of from the ground. Like for example, if I drew, right now it looks like I'm coming out on the floor, right? But if I were to have if I would have clicked the blue, see now it comes out all strange because I was referencing that face. So it thinks I'm drawing parallel to that face. So it's all confused, or at least we are, I guess. So make sure that you don't highlight anything before you start drawing, because I want it to be on the ground, 3 by 4 for this wedge. With a height of, let's see, I gotta make sure the height's coming up before you type it. See how if I were to do it down there and then type it, it's gonna come out messed up. So make it come out. And then type, I think it's, let me check the book. I believe it's 3. Yeah, 3. There we go. So right now, your colors might be different. So before we go any further, I want you to click up here. Choose shades of gray because it's a lot easier to distinguish all the shapes. Because if you have it in realistic or whatever, it gets hard to see details when you're doing certain things. Wireframe's cool when you're, digging into something, or you're inside of an object. But shades of gray is pretty good for cutting into surfaces or curving things out, that type of stuff. So once you have these two objects, please union them. click union and then select the objects. Press enter. Now it's one solid piece. Because I have any issues up to this point? Okay. So now I'm going to draw a. So remember, we're trying to head to here, right? So see how I cut out a piece in the inside of it all the way through. So I'm going to draw a rectangular piece that I can shove through the middle, and then use the subtract command to create a this hole here. This is that little dip or whatever. That's what we're going to do next. So I'm going to adjust my angle here a little bit. I'm clicking the top corner of left and front so you can see the back. Use the box command. But before we start drawing, make sure you highlight. Since I wanted to go upward, see how this wants to be this kind of shape, like going flat and up, not flat on the ground. I want it to be standing up. It's like if you put a piece of sheetrock on its side, right? That's what I want to do. So I'm going to click this corner, because while this was highlighted, see now it's on the ground, right? It's upward. So make sure you click here and then go all the way to this corner. There should be about 4. And the height will be about, let's see, I can't see, my cursor's in the way. It should be about 2. Let me double check though. Yeah, 2. So there's my height of 2. Now my thickness, I want it to be 0.5. So this should be the piece that you see. So it should be 1 unit above that edge. But technically it's right on there. See how it's right on top of the back? Or the base over here. I want it to be 1 unit inside of it so I can cut out all the way through to create that hole here. That's what I'm trying to do. So let's look at it from the other side. Okay, so I need to put this right in the center. I'm going to move this guy to the center. So we'll need the 3D snaps to guide us. We may need to remove object snap if it's messing with us. We will also need to expand this rectangle to go 1 unit down. So if I were to, well, first let's move it and we'll talk about that. So I'm going to turn off this snap guy right here. Sometimes it messes everything up. This might be fine. So I'm going to use the green to move along this axis. I don't want to move it upward or downward or at an angle. So I need to move only along this guy here. So I need to find the center point. See if it does it for me. I have to turn off a certain snap. There we go. Is that in the center? Yeah. Okay. If it starts messing with you, you might have to turn off one of these 3D snaps, probably the vertex. All right, so let's turn the angles and get a better look at this. So remember, I needed this to go 1 inch or 1 unit down into this block here. So what I'm going to do, instead of shifting it downward, because I also need it to be a little high so I can cut through the top. So double click this guy. So here you can actually mess with the dimensions. Although notice how length, width, and height are all kind of confusing because my height. So all this is based on the axis that I created, right? Because I had shifted it to this face here. So I think these are relative to that perspective. So it's confusing because you would think changing this would make it taller, but no, it's not going to happen because that was my thickness, right? Remember? So the height is 4. So I need to change this guy. I'm going to change it to 5. So it's going to go 5 and up, 1 unit up and 1 unit down. So let's see here. I think 6 would be good. Oops. That was wrong. What was the other one? My bad. This guy should be. Let's see if 4 works. 4. So it's a little low, but I think that'll be fine. So it's just going to cut all the way down. Well, the book didn't specify, so maybe I'll just cut in half a unit, see how that works. Yeah, I think that would be okay. So depending on how much depth you want, you can just make this a little taller. I'm thinking of leaving it that way. Okay, so it gets them getting used to changing the way you're looking at this guy. So now the next part, I need to. So this one's ready to subtract that inner piece right back here, but I need to go all the way through. So that means I would have to create another box, or actually, we can copy this box and just shift it all the way through. So we just need a good angle to look at it. Let's see here.
Couldn't you just lengthen it to make that cut?
Do what? I'm sorry.
Couldn't you just lengthen it to make that cut? Just like you did when you started adjusting the dimensions?
Yeah, you totally can. We can do it that way. You can make a copy, or you can stretch it out. It's a good idea. So we would adjust the length this time. Let's see. A little bit more. I think 6 would be good. No. Well. Nope, not all the way yet. I guess I could have doubled it, but too late. Okay, now I think we're good. It's all the way through, right? So now I'm going to delete this guy and create that little hole or ditch thing. So subtract, click the one I want to keep, and then click the one I want to delete. Let's see how that came out. Yeah, there we go. So we're almost there. So we remove that piece. Yeah, looks good.
How'd you do that cutout again? I'm sorry.
With subtract.
Oh, okay.
So click the main object. So the way it works, right, is you click what you want to keep, press enter, and then click what you want to delete and press enter. So is that same order. So now we got to drill a hole. All right. Oh, wait a second. So yeah, so we'll make a cylinder right on the face. The center, though, has to be around the center. And we'll make it a radius of 0.25. That's what we'll do. So let's see if we can find the center. So here's 3D near. So it should be a 0.25 radius. Now notice how it's going in or outward. So let's say I went the wrong direction, right? Like, you know what, I wanted it to drill inward, not outward. You can always double click it and try typing in -3. So now it shifted it inside instead. So if you ever mess up, you can try to mess with it. So now that I have a cylinder, radius 0.25 going through the face, so I took advantage of the coordinate system on the face. So it's kind of like when you're doing the iso circles with the left plane or right plane on the last homework. So this becomes like the plane I'm working on because I'm have my mouse on it. The difference is the other one you have to choose the plane, which makes it a little harder. But now that we're in 3D, it's not as bad. So let's delete that piece. So subtract, click the object I want to keep, enter, delete the cylinder. There we go. So there's my hole all the way through. Yeah. Oops, sorry. Trying to undo my camera angle, but it didn't work. Okay. So now let's try to do these chamfers. See how they smooth this edge off. We got to figure that out. All right. So quick edit and find the chamfer, however you say it. Click here. Then it's going to ask for an edge. So I'm going to choose this edge. But first, it needs a distance so it knows how much you're going to chamfer. So click 0.5 for the first part, enter, and then 0.75 for the second part. And then just click that edge, press enter twice. Spacebar to redo a command, so that still works from 2D. Enter twice. You should have this little chamfered edge now. All right, now let's smooth out the front edge using the fillet. Let's practice the fillet. So this 3D fillet is right here. So it's the same deal. It's going to want an edge, but you got to give it a radius instead of a distance. So similar, but a little bit different. So click radius, choose, let's see here, 0.25, enter, and ouch. Where's that measurement at? Oh, I think it's just 0.25. My bad. It's just one radius. It's not two distance. Sorry about that. Having a brain fart there. So the show should have a smooth edge there. With the, so it's like you filleted a 0.25 radius out of the whole thing. And do the same thing over here by just pressing spacebar, enter twice. There we go. Got 2 of them now. All right, so we've explored the fillet and chamfers. This coordinate system is pretty useful, but you can also change the gizmo. So right now it's set up for move gizmo. So you can choose a rotate. So that way you have the, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Calculus 3 or not, but they have different rotations. So we have the, it's kind of like spherical coordinates, I guess. All right, so you have this spin, you have this other spin, etc. You know, can also spin this way. So depending on what you want to do. We also have the scale gizmo, which is pretty cool. So you can stretch it in different directions. So if I want to scale it to the Y direction, right, or shrink it, scale on the Z, I guess, depending on what you want to do. But try and get just one of them. I'm not sure if I can, but anyway. Move gizmo is a standard one. Shades of gray I highly recommend for when you're working on stuff. Wireframe just to see through when you do like cuts like this. It's pretty helpful. The standard that it comes with is not very helpful, I think. This one, notice how it's kind of hard to see what's going on. It looks pretty though, I guess. Anyway, you guys have any questions on any of the commands we used so far?
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the radius thing, with the fillet.
Uh-huh. Okay, so when you did the fillet, click the command and then choose radius, right? Did you type 0.25 in there?
Yes.
Okay. And then at this point, you select an edge. So I already selected an edge, so I can do a different edge, I guess. And then once you select it, press enter 2 times. You should create a little dip.
Got it. That's where I wasn't pressing enter 2 times, so I didn't really know what I was doing.
Oh, okay. That's all good then. All right, guys.